I'm Dr. Pratap Naikwade. Welcome you all for online 1 week interdisciplinary certificate course in Basics of Organic Farming conducted by IQSC and Department of Botany, Artley Saprapitra College, Devur.
Dear friends, in this video lecture, we will study pest and disease management in organic farming. So in this lecture, we will study strategies and methods of disease and pest management in organic farming, as well as herbal pesticides. Dear friends, we know that in organic farming, no synthetic fertilizers are added. Nutrient management is done with plants and animal resources. Similarly, in organic farming, pest and disease management is done without using synthetic chemical pesticides or insecticides. During crop cultivation, farmers face problems like pests, which include insect, diseases, and weeds. Organic farmers integrate cultural, biological, mechanical, physical, and chemical practices to manage the pests. Since the use of synthetic pesticides are prohibited in organic farming, the cropping system should be focused on prevention of pest outbreaks rather than coping with them after they occur. No single method is likely to be adequate for all pests. Successful pest management depends on incorporation of number of control strategies. Some strategies will target insect and disease separately and others will target them together. Planning for effective insect and disease management must involve the entire farm operation and use all information available. Organic farming use 3 strategies. So these are: first is insect and disease avoidance, second is managing growth environment, and third is direct treatment. These strategies further have different methods. We will see them one by one. First is avoidance techniques. In this technique, insect and diseases are avoided, as we know that prevention is better than cure. Organic farmers need to understand the biology and growth habits of both pest and crop. Pest and disease is avoided by using various methods. First is crop rotation. Crop rotation is extremely effective way to minimize most pest problems while maintaining and enhancing the soil fertility and structure. Diversity is maintained in crop rotation, so it is effective in controlling soil and stubble-borne diseases. The success of rotation in preventing disease depends on many factors, including the ability of a pathogen to survive without its host and the pathogen's host range. Then the second method is field sanitation and crop residue management. Removing crop residues and alternate host sites can be used to control some insects and many diseases. Burying diseased plant material also reduces the movement of spores by wind. Burning of diseased plant parts is also effective. Field sanitation destroys spores and hosts of pests of last year and helpful for lowering disease occurrence. Third is seed quality. Many diseases are seed-borne, so the seeds we are using for cultivation must be of high quality and free from disease-causing organisms. Many diseases are seed-borne, so the seeds we are using for cultivation must be of high quality and free from disease-causing organisms. Seeds must be free from smuts, ergot bodies, and other fungi. Fourth is weed management. In many cases, weed provide food and shelter for beneficial insects. Field experiences have shown that if diverse weeds are in the field, it increases predators attacking insects and decrease aphids. Research has also shown that outbreak of certain crop insect pests are more likely in weed-free field, so it is not necessary that total field is weed-free. Next is forecasting. Organic farmers should pay attention to the forecasts for various pest and disease infestation for each crop year. Next is record keeping. Keeping meticulous field records can provide very useful information. A complete history of each field should include any insect or disease infestations, which management methods worked and which did not, and a list of management techniques to try in the future. So this record keeping is also very useful for pest and disease management. So with these 6 techniques, we have completed the first strategy, that is insect and disease avoidance. Now we will study the second strategy, that is managing growth and environment. For pest and disease management, environment around crop is maintained healthy so that plant will resist pest and diseases. First is healthy soil. Maintaining favorable soil conditions is the first line of defense against pest. A biologically active soil with good drainage supports vigorous crop growth, increase disease resistance capacity of the plant. The addition of organic manures like compost, vermicompost, grain manures, etc. improve soil quality, including increasing population of soil microorganisms and compete with soil-borne plant pathogens. Second is crop and variety selection. Organic farmer must be aware about insects and diseases in the vicinity of the farm. Depending on observation, crop and the variety should be selected. These choices must also fit with the crop rotation plan that has been developed. Agronomy factors such as time of seeding or season have more influence on the incidence of the disease. Third is intercropping. The practice of intercropping, where 2 or more crops are grown at the same time, can reduce pest problems, because due to intercropping it becomes difficult for the pest to find a host crop. Intercropping also provides habitat for the beneficial organisms. Fourth is seeding date. Planting should be scheduled so that the most susceptible time of plant growth does not correspond to the peak in pest cycles. Early seeding reduces crop damage caused by grasshoppers, aphids in cereal crops and in other crops also. Sometimes delayed seeding can be effective in avoiding wireworms and cutworms in cereal crops. Next is depth of seeding. Optimum seeding depth is also very important. Deep seeding in cold soils may result in seeding blights as well as damping of diseases. Seeding depth should generally be no deeper than required for quick germination and even emergence. Next is roguing. Roguing is the removal of any unwanted plants by hands from a crop. In roguing, diseased or insect-infested plants are removed in early stage of the pest and disease occurrence. Due to roguing, further spread of disease is controlled. So with this we have completed 6 different methods of second strategy, that was managing growth and environment. And now we will study the third strategy, that is direct treatment. Sometimes organic farmer will find that despite of all the best efforts of avoidance of disease and healthy environment, an insect or disease pest will grow to a levels that cause substantial crop damage. At this point, direct treatment, they are very much necessary. The first method in direct treatment is monitoring. Insect monitoring traps are useful in determining which insect pests are present in a field to identify insect or disease before causing crop damage. Certain types of insect hormones called pheromones may be used to attract insects into a trap. Second is biological control. In a healthy balanced ecosystem, biological control by natural predators is constantly occurring. In organic farming, natural predators in ecosystem are used to control disease-causing organisms and pests. So this is biological control of disease. Natural enemies of insect pest known as biological control agents are predators, parasitoids and pathogens. Various types of fungi are also insect parasites and can either kill their insect hosts or reduce their ability to reproduce. In organic farming, biological agents can be imported to locations where they don't naturally occur, or farmers can make a supplemental release of natural enemies, boosting the naturally occurring population. Third is natural insecticides. Organic certification standards prohibits use of synthetic pesticides. Permitted disease management products include copper, lime sulfur mixes, vinegar, etc. There are certain plants which can be used for killing pests and disease causing organisms. Dear friends, there are so many different plants which are used for herbal pesticide preparation. We will see some of them. First is Adathoda vasica, commonly known as Adulsa. The leaves of the plant are used for the herbal pesticide preparation. Second is Andrographis paniculata. Here the whole plant is used. Next is Artemisia vulgaris. From this plant, tender shoots and leaves are used for the herbal pesticide. Next is Azadirachta indica, commonly known as neem. All the parts of this plant are used for the herbal pesticide preparation, but preferably seed kernel as well as neem cake is very much beneficial. Next is Calotropis gigantea, commonly known as root. The leaves, tender stem and flowers of this plant are used. Then Catharanthus rosea, commonly known as Sadafuli. The whole plant is used for the herbal pesticide preparation. Next is Chrysanthemum cinerofolia, commonly known as Shevanti. The flowers of the plant are used. Next one is Curcuma longa, commonly known as turmeric. The rhizomes of the plant are used for the herbal pesticide preparation. Then Dhatura metal, commonly known as Dhotra. Leaf, fruit as well as flower of this plant are used. Next is Lantana camera, commonly known as Ghaneri. The leaf as well as flowers of this plant are used for herbal pesticide preparation. Next is Leucus aspera, commonly known as Thumbai. The flowers, leaf and tender stem of the plant is used for herbal pesticide preparation. Then Nerium thievesia. In Marathi it is known as Pivdi Khaner. The flowers, fruits and root of the plant are used. Next plant is Nicotiana tabacum, commonly known as Tambaku. Dried leaf, plant waste, stem waste is used for herbal pesticide preparation. Next to that is Parthenium hysterophorus, commonly known as Gajar. It is a common weed. Whole plant before flowering stage can be used for herbal pesticide preparation. Then Pongamia glabra, common name is currants. The leaf and flower of the plant is used for herbal pesticide preparation. Next is Strychnos nux vomica, commonly known as ET. The seeds of the plant are used. Dear friends, there are so many other plants that are also used for the herbal pesticide preparation. Now we will see how to prepare herbal pesticides. Macerate and grind the plant material to a pulp state. This is mainly to expose the cells and facilitate the extraction of the active principle with the help of water. Soak the pulped material at least 70 to 80% of the final volume of spray solution. You can soak the extract for 3 to 4 days or soak it at least overnight and then heat it to bearable warmth, that is 60 to 70 degrees centigrade for an hour. After this, dilute it to the required final volume of spray solution. Filter it, allow cooling and then use it for spraying. Use at least 2 to 3 different materials at a time to prepare the herbal extract. Use 2 to 3% of the herbal extract when the pest attack is at early stage. Increase the dosage if the attack is very severe. So dear friends, prepare different herbal pesticides by using different plants and use it at your garden and farm. These are the references. Thank you.